I got it cooked, and everybody was fed.
So that puts us at about 10 o'clock?
Yeah, about that. Get everything situated. Everybody sitting by the fire, throws their plates in the fire. Jessica, my son, was over playing with Missy, who was hooked to the back of my truck. Back on the back of my truck. And I remember I went over just to see what he was doing. He was in eyesight, but I like playing with him. I like, little games, things like that. And he has he's a big fetish with cramming his arm in the black exhaust pipe of my trucks always, and comes out just big arm full of exhaust. And I walked over just as I trying to catch him to not do it, and he did it, and he come out and his arm's solid black, and I went, son, he had the look on his face too. like his arm was just gone. And I said, it's not a big deal, started wiping the soot off his arm, and he ended up walking around the truck, was playing with the dog, and I had set some food out for her, just on the ground. And he was screwing with her, trying to keep her away from the food. And I remember he walked over to the driver's side front tire of my truck, in that Dodge. He would always walk over and play with lug nuts. Always. Mm-hmm. It's just what he does. Mm-hmm. And he gets to one, and I was missing one. And he looks at me and goes, Daddy. And I said, what, son? He goes, where'd it go? Mm-hmm. And I looked over and I thought, I'll be damned, I am missing a lug nut. Mm-hmm. And he says, where'd it go, Daddy? I said, I don't know. Is it around here somewhere? And he's just looking around. He looks over to Missy and he goes, Woo, where'd it go? Thinking she took it. And it was just, it was funny to me.
Can you explain to me, and the reason I know this is because Jessica called me herself after she got out of her polygraph. Actually, I called her to check on her because Trina had texted me and said to. And I asked her how everything went, and you know what she told me? And correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to know why Jessica threw you under the bus, and Jessica said that you were with Dior at your truck for 20 minutes while she was down in the creek fishing after you got back from the stage shop. I asked her.
That is wrong. That's wrong, for one. I can tell you that. That's wrong. But for two, and I asked her the same thing. Not meanly, not coaching, nothing. I just said, what the Christ was that all about? And she said, and I quote, I was under a lot of pressure, and I don't know what the hell else I didn't know what else to do.
But I didn't. But see that right there confuses me, because I didn't pressure her. We were just having a conversation. I just asked if she was okay. I asked what happened because I wasn't even privy to any of that information at that point in time. And she told me the reason she never told me that before was because she's scared of you. So, is she lying? Did she just lie to me and tell me that you were with your son for 20 minutes while she was down in the creek fishing and that you could have done something?
That's what her, I, and Isaac went down to this creek.
Well, that's been y'all's story from the get-go, but now all of a sudden she's changed it. So you got to understand where we're coming from now.
Yeah, I know, I understand. It's my word against, or it's her word against mine, but here's the problem. Since she comes back to everybody else, in both families, to everybody else except for law officials, and says that was wrong. Well, what the fuck am I supposed to do, Jessica? Look what you did. But now you've got more time wasted with officials because you felt like you were cornered and had no other way out. That doesn't do our son any good.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of bothered me yesterday. When I said Jessica was with me yesterday, I mentioned to her, and she was in the truck, and I was waiting to get washed out. She goes, what did Caroline say about the witness? And I said, I think this is viable. It might actually give us some information. I said, it's kind of got me excited that we might be able to move forward on this. She got really worried. And why? And I asked her why, and she says, I just worry that, and she with a long pause, and then she responded with, well, I just worry that maybe they're going to be able to tell us that hopefully they won't tell us the worst. And my thought was, would you rather know what's going on, whether it be the worst or not, so that we can then mourn than not be in limbo like we are now?
Well, and just have closure one way or another. I mean, that's
my exact words. I would rather have closure to know where my son is or what happened and all that shit than not know. And that's worrying her. And that kind of bothered me yesterday.
Well, why?
I let it alone, and I didn't say anything, but I wanted to tell you and Philip that.
Yeah, well, why does, what are your thoughts? Why does he act worried? I mean,
That's what mind boggles. That's what I don't understand. Why get worried? And I wanted to just look at her and go, if you fucking know something, you need to say something right now. Because if you know something where my fucking kid is, you need to tell me right now. Mm-hmm. But I didn't want to get pissed off. I didn't want to get her riled up because it wouldn't get anywhere and she may close up.
Well,
but my thought was, why in the fuck would she get worried? Because my response, I understand everybody's responses aren't the same, but mine was, I got excited. I might be able to have closure to my son. I might be able to get him back. I might, so many possibilities. Mm-hmm. This moves us forward first, and her exact words is it a reliable person that can give reliable information? And I said, I believe so. And then she got worried, and I went, just the look on her face, and I went, what the fuck?
Well, so, I mean, does your gut tell you she knows something? When we interviewed you and we talked to you about this,
I fight my gut when it comes to shit like that right now, but there was something there. That's why I'm saying something to you.
Okay. All right. And she has never said anything?
It really worried me. Well, she's never given me any indication she knows any more, any of that shit. She's never given me an indication. That was the first time she ever had worry in her eye like that.
Really? Okay. Well, I will tell you, do you know where she is?
Every time he got up quite a few times, so every time he'd get up, I hear the camper door open. I mean, the trailer's hooked on the Suburban, so I can feel him move.
Hold on one second.
Say had.
SD card. Can I have your one of yours?
Has, don't say had.
Pause?
Yeah, let's pause.
Okay.
Sorry.
Can't do that.
Hold on one second.
Close your eyes, and I want you to turn around in your mind, and I want you to look back at the campsite. What was the last thing you saw?
As I walked away and made sure that my grandpa was okay with me leaving Little Man, I remember seeing my grandpa sit in his chair at the fire pit, Little Man standing in front of him, and my grandpa's got his bag of candy in his hand. And I remember asking my grandpa, "Are you sure you're okay with him?" And he said, "Yeah, he's fine. He wants candy." And I said okay, and I turned around and walked up with Dior and Isaac.
Did you ever look back as you were walking up the hill?
Yeah, a few steps later, Dior and I turned around because Little Man was following us. Dior asked him, "Do you want to go with us or do you want to stay with Grandpa Bob?" He said, "No, yeah," and turned around and walked back towards my grandpa.
How close to your grandpa did he get, do you know?
The last time that I actually saw my son was, there's a picnic table and a rock right next to the picnic table that's like 10 feet away from my grandpa, maybe. Mm-hmm. And I turned around and that's the last spot that I saw him, was right next to that rock.
What was he holding?
He wasn't holding anything. He was walking towards my grandpa. Last time I saw him was the back of his head, walking towards my grandpa.
Tell me what's on the picnic bench.
There's the radio, some paper plates, paper towels, and some chips.
Do you remember where the baby blanket is?
Suburban.
Where's the sippy cup?
Sitting on a log right next to the fire.
Where's Mr. Monkey?
The truck.
What's your grandpa wear?
His fisherman hat, gray sweats, his slip-on shoes, and his his button-down jacket.
How far away is the baby from grandpa?
10 feet, maybe.
Tell me what happens next.
After I turned around to make sure that little man hadn't changed his mind again, and I saw him by the rock walking back to my grandpa, I turned around and started walking with Dior and Isaac. We got up to the top part of the cul-de-sac area, and Isaac said, as he pointed to the creek, right here, right here, right here is where we fished and caught fish. And he turned around and walked towards the campground and left me and Dior standing there.
Okay. Now tell me what you and Dior did.
We looked at the creek, and where we were standing, the water was, I felt, too fast moving to actually fish right there. So we walked along the creek to try to find a spot that was better to fish, or if we could even see fish. We walked along a log that went across the creek, and our dog was with us, and she tried to go across the creek, or across the log to Dior. She got halfway across the log and then turned around and went back to the bank. And that was the last time I saw her with us at the creek. We came back from the log and got to the bank and walked alongside the creek. The creek splits, and there's a little section of land in the middle, and I went across these rocks to go into that middle area, and Dior followed me. He had our backs towards the campground at that point, looking at the other side of the creek where it bead. And Dior noticed there was little minnows caught up in some of the weeds and stuff that was in the water. He made a comment that little man would like to see. He would think it was cool. He'd like to see him, and he turned around. I continued to look at the water. I decided that was a good spot to start fishing, so I put a worm on my hook, cast out my line, brought it back in a few times. I turned around to see where Dior had gone, because I could hear his voice in the distance. And when I went to turn back around to look at the creek, I saw something out of the corner of my right eye moving. And as I turned my head, I saw Isaac walking with a fishing pole towards the creek. By the time that I saw Isaac, I heard Dior yell, and I couldn't understand what he said. And I asked him what, and he said, "Little man's gone. He's missing. We can't find him." And I threw down the fishing pole, went across the rocks, and ran up to him and asked him what was going on, where he was last seen. Are we sure that he's gone? We can't find him. And we started searching for him. I went back to my grandpa to ask him where he last saw little man, what he was doing. And my grandpa told me he was sitting next to the bank on the ground playing with either dirt or his shoes. He couldn't tell. And Dior and I searched all over. I searched the camper, yelled his name, searched the Suburban, searched Dior's truck, screamed his name.
police department.
All right, guys.
Did you do an oral interview with the police?
Yes.
Did you do a video interview with the police?
I believe when they did our interrogation, they.
Okay, very good. Did you take their polygraph test?
Yes.
Okay, and the results were?
Well, the guy that gave me the test said that I passed as a grieving mother.
Okay.
He said there was only one question that even hinted anything.
Yeah.
Like any emotional response or anything like that, and it was, did you know where, because I call him Little Man.
Uh-huh.
That's my nickname for him. And he said, did you know where Little Man was when you called 911? And I said, no. And then I had a response after I answered the question.
Mm-hmm.
And after he did the test, he asked me, he said, well, this is where you had, a fluctuation of your readings and things like that. And what were you thinking when I asked you that question and when you answered? And I said, a flood of all those emotions that I had when I was on the phone with someone came back to me.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, well, that's a normal response for a grieving mother.
Yep. Okay.
But then when I talked to the investigator in Idaho Falls,
right,
at Bonneville County, he said that I didn't pass.
Okay.
Which was very confusing to me, because I was like, well, that guy said that I had passed, but now...
And what did he say?
He said that I didn't pass.
Huh. Okay, so what about your... He
asked me if I wanted to do another one, or if I would be willing to do another one, and I said I would be willing to do as many as you needed me to do. Okay. I don't have anything to hide. I don't have, and I said I'm very confused of why, he said that I passed, but then you said that I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So...
What did he say to that?
He just said, sometimes that's why they're admissible in court, is because one person can administer it and say that I passed, and then one person, another person can look at it and say, no, they had a reaction to this question or something. It can be interpreted differently, I guess, by different people looking at the results.
Did your polygraph test?
Yes.
He passed?
No.
He did not either. Okay. What about your grandfather? Did he take one?
Yes.
Did he pass?
They will not tell us that.
Okay, so he won't tell y'all.
As far as Isaac and my grandfather go, they won't tell us anything like that.
Okay.
Lehigh County, not so much.
Okay. Why?
I think that them being such a small county and not really having to deal with this kind of stuff happening a lot,
right.
I feel like they didn't do everything they want.
Okay.
It was kind of tainted from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like in some places they've cut corners or, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're kind of thinking that they messed up, and I don't really like that sheriff.
Oh, why don't you like him?
Yeah. Every time that somebody talks to him, he pretty much says that there's a 1% chance that he was abducted, and then he doesn't suspect foul play, and then he's pretty much ruled out everything, but can't say why it was missing.
Have you had any interaction with the FBI?
We met them once, and we did like a questionnaire thing, and then they came to our house and did our the swabs in our mouth, and then took some stuff from his bedroom, and things like that. But that's the only time that I've ever talked.
Yeah, those are the forensics guys. Okay.
You were that the only place in town that had diesel was 2 buildings down at it looked like a closed down gas station, and that he needed to go over and prepay across the street at the Clover Creek Motel. Stage stop.
How long has he been missing?
About an hour.
An hour?
Yeah.
Are you by water?
So for 28 minutes, you guys search?
Yeah. I
How long has he been missing? On hold. John? I need... John?
Well, they took off and went down up to the, wherever they was going, up or down. And Dior crawled out that way. I write that wrote down there too, don't I?
I haven't read it yet, but I was just trying to see. So I'm trying to image this in my mind because I've never been up there before.
Yeah.
So Dior Sr., Jess, and Isaac walk away from the camp.
Right.
And do they ask you to watch Little Dior?
That's what I hear.
Okay, that's what you hear?
That's what I hear.
That's what you hear from them say?
That's what I hear. I didn't know whether I heard or they said that.
Okay. And
But
so,
you know.
where was Little Dior as they're walking off? And from your vision point, where is Little Dior? Is he in front of you? Is he to the side of you? Is he
To the side,
so
left side.
Left side, okay.
Yeah.
And the creek is where? To the behind you here, or
The creek is, I'm kind of facing the creek.
right? So he's over here, kind of towards the left.
Yeah.
Okay. They go walking down the hill with Isaac, and Dior stays with you. And my understanding is you offered him some candy. Is that right?
Cut it down.
Let me reread this. Okay. So you kind of, they leave, and you see Dior right off here to your left, baby Dior, off to your left. And then, about 3 or 4 or 5 minutes later, you say here, you look around, he's gone.
Yeah, it was off to my left about what I think they're 80, 90 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting right there.
And he's gone.
He's gone.
What do you do?
What did I do? Well, at that time, just about that time, Dior, big Dior comes up and he says, "Where's Dior?" And I said, "Well, he was right there." So he started looking and I started looking, and
Did you ever tell Jess that you saw him down by the creek sitting next to a tree?
no,
You never told her that?
no,
Messing in the dirt or with his boot? Never told her that? Okay. Okay. And what did Dior Sr. say?
what did he say? What do you mean, what did he say?
Did he say, "Well, help me here"?
He went looking.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, right after that, Jess come up and heard what was going on. She was looking too. He got in his truck and went looking around, and she was looking around there.
Where's Isaac?
I don't know.
You don't know where Isaac was?
Not right.
Did Isaac ever come back from after taking them down to the creek? Did Isaac ever come back to the camp?
I don't remember he did.
So when was the next time you saw Isaac?
I really don't know. I think I stood up after a little bit and looked over. I think I seen him over there, but
Over.
right straight towards the creek, down over the bank there. I think I seen him over there, but I can't remember for sure.
You're talking about Isaac or Little Dior?
Isaac.
Isaac, okay. So you look straight over and you think you see Isaac.
Yeah,
Okay. What was he doing?
I don't know. I didn't keep track of what he was doing. Well, I haven't seen him.
Okay.
I think. Did I write that in there?
Yeah.
Okay. I kind of forgot some of this stuff. That's the reason I brought this
Right.
with me.
Okay. You say you turned your head for 2 or 3 or 4 minutes.
Right.
Could have been longer.
Could have been.
How much longer?
Well, not much longer.
How long was Jess and Jess and Big DR gone from? How long were they gone from the time they walked away to the time they walked back up? What's an estimated time?
10, 15 minutes.
Okay.
No more.
So, did you and Isaac ever have any conversation at all after after the child was missing? Did Isaac come back to camp and say, "What's going on"?
I don't remember what happened there.
Oh, I do have a question because one of them said that you went into your camper and laid down to take a nap.
Yeah.
Did you go into your camper to lay down, or did you stay by the fire pit the whole while they were down fishing and stuff?
I don't know that for sure. I know I went in the trailer and tried to take a nap. But they had left, I think, already to go down fishing. But I did go in the trailer. I tried to take a nap.
You did go into the trailer? Okay.
Let me ask a question. If that baby's dead and you think it was an accident, why do you think they're so scared of what?
I have no idea.
If it was an accident, which is going to be a slap on the wrist compared to concealing a death.
Yeah, I don't know.
Why do you think they'd be so scared?
I do not know that. You'd know more about that kind of stuff than me.
No, because I don't know them that well. You know them better than I do.
I don't know.
You know your granddaughter
Well,
better.
I know her,
Yeah.
but I don't know her.
Yeah, I get that.
I hear you.
It's like anybody.
Well, if you, just hypothetically, if you had an accident or caused an accident that caused the baby to be dead, would you cover it up? Or would you say, "Oh my God, he fell in the fire and I didn't know what to do"? I mean, would you come forward or would you try to conceal it? You personally,
No, I wouldn't try to conceal it, okay?
Okay. I'm just trying to figure out why it would be so important for them to hide it or to cover it up if it was an
If
accident.
they're doing that, I don't know what the reason is.
Okay.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Did you ever tell Jess that you saw him down by the creek sitting next to a tree?
No.
You never told her that?
No.
Messing in the dirt or with his boot? Never told her that? Okay.
He just wandered off.
Did you tell your grandpa you're going to call 911?
Yeah.
What did he say?
He said that, well, yeah, you have to.
Did Jessica or Dior Senior ever ask your opinion on calling 911? Did they ever say, do you think we should call? Was it a discussion or was it just like an automatic? Say that one more time.
They called.
They called, so it was just automatic for them. Y'all didn't have a discussion about, should we call right now? Should we look a little bit more?
I found out that they called after they'd done it.
Eye for an eye?
Huh?
Eye for an eye?
Sometimes, not all the time.
That's why I just said less than 11 minutes ago that you have some pent up anger in you, and I can see it. I can see it like I'm reading a book. I'm sitting here looking, you laugh about it, but I can see it. And this is bothering you, and you're angry about it?
Sure, it's bothering me. But you can't go shooting somebody because it's bothering you.
I'm not talking about shooting somebody. I'm talking about you and your feelings and your anger. You're in a bad place right now with your health. I get it.
Yeah, I am in bad place.
I get it. I understand.
I got about 3 years to live, maybe 2.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
And God bless you.
Hell yeah. But you're gonna die anyway when you get so old. You gotta realize.
Yeah, but you don't want to carry this situation to your grave.
Hey, listen, I could get run into and killed as soon as I live here. It doesn't make any
And that
difference.
doesn't change. That doesn't change. You want to
know
carry
it.
this to your grave. You don't want this to go to your grave.
Oh,
and you,
no.
and you know you don't want this to go to your grave.
His grandson's missing. His great grandson's missing. Did you and Isaac talk about the baby's disappearance? No. You didn't? No. What's done is done. What's done is done. That's your grandson.
Yeah, and he's been like that. I mean, he says things like that. I mean, we got home and, you know, within like 2 or 3 days, he's like, so are we going to have a funeral? And I was live and
Do you
just
think she was trying to do one of two things? Was she just tired of kids, or was she trying to do the ultimate protection,
my opinion.
or a 50-50?
My opinion is that Jess wanted to be kind of free to run with Dior, you know.